Hello! Today I'm going to be showing you guys how I make the labubu-sized candy bucket hats. The design is heavily inspired by fairykandi on Instagram and TikTok. Gotta thank Green Grape for modeling the labubu-sized candy bucket hat. Alright, so these are the materials you'll need. You'll need 3 different colors of pony beads, 1mm fabric covered elastic, and some scissors. We're gonna start by getting a lot of string, about like your wingspan, maybe a little more, because we're gonna make a flower cuff and the brim of the hat with the same string. We can start by cracking these bad boys open. And we are going to string on 36 beads total, 3 beads of the dark pink and then 3 beads of the light pink. And then we're just gonna alternate over and over until we get to 36. So what we have now is your 36 beads, which is 12 sets of 3. Each of those sets will be a flower. Now we're just gonna tie this off with 5 granny knots. If you're not sure what a granny knot is, it's the first knot whenever you tie your shoe. This is what it should look like, and we're just going to cut off the short end. Now we're just going to thread our string through that first dark pink bead. And then we're going to put a light pink on top of that middle bead and go through that third dark pink bead so that that light pink bead is on top of that middle one. If you look closely, I went through 2 beads instead of just the one, so that I will come out on top of that middle bead whenever I put in the next one. We're just going to continue adding 1 bead on top of the middle bead of each color. It should look something like this. Now to add the last bead on this row. We're going to want to put our string through that bead that's sticking up. And then we're going to add 2 beads, a dark pink and a light pink, and go through that other middle bead. Then we're going to add a light pink and a dark pink and go through the next middle bead, and so on and so forth. It should begin to start looking like this. Now to add the very last 2. Then we're going to feed the string through until we are coming out of between 2 of the light pink beads. And now we're just going to fill in all of those empty slots until they look like full flowers. Now to add the very last bead on this row. Now we want our string coming out of that very bottom bead of the flower. Once we're coming out of that bead, we're going to take 3 of the dark pink beads and go from each of the bottom points. Once we finish adding the beads for our last ones in the row, we're going to feed the beads through until we're coming out of the middle of the dark pink beads. Now we string them on in the pattern light pink, light pink, and then string it in through the middle beads of the next point. Once we have those last beads strung on, we're going to go through that middle point. And then we're going to string our string back through all of the beads until we're coming out of the top point of the flowers. Just like this. Once I got to the top of the flowers, I realized I probably need to cut more string. So I'm just going to tie on a couple more feet of string. Then once we have our last knot tied, we can cut off the ends. Now we should be coming out of that top point of the flower, and we're going to add on 3 of the dark pink beads. Then we're going to string it on through the next top point of the next flower. And we're just going to continue this all the way around. Once we've beaded on those last 3 dark pink beads, we're going to go through the tip of the flower, and then we're going to come out of the middle of the dark pink beads. So that second bead. Now we're going to add 2 light pink beads and go through the next middle point of the dark pink beads. You're going to want to pull your string pretty tight so that the pink beads make the dark pink beads kind of cinch in. It should start to look like this. On the last beads of this row, we're not only going to go through that top point, but also that first light pink bead so that the string is coming out through the middle of them. Now we're just going to add on 3 of the medium pink colors and go through the next 2's middle point. Then we're going to string our string through the dark pink bead below the 2 and then up until the first light pink bead. So we should end up in between those 2 light pink beads. Then we're just going to keep on going with the 3 medium shade pony beads and going through the middle of the two light pinks. Now we're going to string our string until we're coming out of the middle medium colored pink bead. Now we're going to take 2 of the darkest pink beads and go from point to point, connecting all of those medium pink sets of 3. Once again, you're going to want to keep that string pretty tight. And once you have those last 2 strung on and put through the middle point, you are basically done and you just have to tie it off. I'm going to tie 5 granny knots once again. Now that we have that tied off, we can cut off the string. And we have completed the labubu-sized candy bucket hat. Now for Green Grape to model the pink candy bucket hat. You're gonna wanna put the key ring in first and then pull his little ears out so that they're sticking out through the top of the hat, and then pull the hat down. Give it a little shaping. And there we go. We have finished our labubu-sized candy bucket hat.